Hi everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. I'm really excited for this video because it's been a long time coming and my channel's only been vlogs, and obviously maybe some of you watch my videos and thought, who is she? So I'm gonna do a Q&A, get to know me, and I'm also going to tell you all my birth story. So I thought we'd do it all in one video to make it nice and juicy. So let's get started. So I actually put a question box on my Instagram story like a month ago because I was going to film this a while ago and I just haven't got around to it. So I've still got the most common questions written down, so I'm going to answer them. I'm just going to have a little chatty Q&A with you all. So who am I? So my name is Safi, I'm 22 years old. My full name is Saffron Giselle. Yes, Giselle, like my baby. Jamelia Khan. So I've got like two middle names. In school, I always used to be like so embarrassed by it. Like I thought it was so extra. But now I love it. I love it. I love being extra. So my full name is Saffron, but everyone tends to call me Safi. And it's Saffie. Sometimes a lot of people spell it wrong because it's a different way. So someone asked, what is your ethnicity? So my ethnicity, my dad is from Pakistan. And my mum is from Liverpool. She is British and Irish. So I am Pakistani, British and Irish. So I'm full half Pakistani because my dad is full Pakistani. I was born and bred in Liverpool on the 5th of May 2002. And I grew up in Liverpool my whole life. I am a Taurus, which is the reason I am such a homebody. If someone wants to cancel plans with me, that is fine. I will just stay home. I love it. And I'm stubborn in the best way. And I love the finer things in life. They're just the traits of a Taurus, and I am the biggest Taurus ever. I'm also a bit of a perfectionist and an organisation freak, which I think is a Taurus trait. Everything's just got to be organised. I've been like this since school. Like, I hardly missed any homework. I've always been like this. So I have been with my boyfriend Curtis since I was 16. We met when I was 16 and he was 17. So we've been together for nearly 6.5 years now, which is literally crazy. And now we've got our little girl. I fell pregnant in January last year and I gave birth on the 13th of October last year. So she is a Libra. Both my sisters are Libras. So she fits in the girl gang, and she's just the best thing that ever happened to me and us as a family. She has just made us even closer. She's the best thing in the world. I actually had quite a lot of questions about my uni. So I actually studied biomedical science in Manchester. For GCSEs, I did separate science, maths, English, geography, Latin, German, believe it or not. I was actually good at German. Sounds strange, but I actually found it really easy compared to French and Spanish. So that's what I did in my GCSEs, and the lowest I got was a 6 in English language. So that's a B. So I remember crying when I got my GCSE results because I was so shocked. Like, I actually did really well. I always laugh actually because I think Kurt got the same as me in English language. So he thinks it's so funny that he got the same as me. So for A-levels, I did geography, chemistry and biology. Now, I didn't even get to do my A-levels because of COVID. So yeah, that was disappointing because I think I could have got better than my predicted grades if I actually got to do them and got to work hard for them. So I originally wanted to go to uni in Liverpool, but because of predicted grades and stuff, I ended up going to uni in Manchester, which was actually the best decision I ever made, and everything happens for a reason. I'm so glad I did, and like, it was just the best time. I love Manchester so much, and I even met Lydia when we were both in uni in Manchester, and now she's one of my best friends. So it literally worked perfect. Everything's meant to happen for a reason. It was just the best thing. And I really loved my course. It was so interesting. I did 3 years biomedical science. I'm just glad I didn't stay in Liverpool for uni because I feel like I wouldn't have ventured out. And I'm just glad I didn't stay in the same city that I was born in, that I knew, because now I'm always in Manchester and I love it so much. It is like a mini London. It's the best. I actually got a first in my degree, which I'm so happy about because I actually worked so hard and the hard work really paid off. I did my dissertation in Alzheimer's and it was really difficult, but I did it. And it was a lab-based dissertation, so I was in the lab a lot doing experiments and stuff. I managed to get a first in my dissertation. My highest mark in my whole degree was in my dissertation. I think I got 85% in my dissertation, and I just remember being in so much shock at how I did it. But I did work really hard for it, and I literally locked myself away for like 2 months to do it. So yeah, I just remember them times now, and I remember making like study calendar with like a countdown to the days and what I needed to do each day to make sure I get it finished, and it worked. So that's why I'm an organisation freak, and it definitely paid off. So now I'm just so glad that I've got my degree, and if I want to use it in the future I can, and it's just the best thing to have. Put in the drawer, keep it, always got it. And then I'm really glad I got a first as well, because I did biomedical science, so you can actually apply for postgraduate medicine and dentistry in some places if I wanted to go into that in the future. So I'm so glad that I did well in my degree, and now I've got that option. But at the minute I am a full-time mum, and I'm also a content creator. I also did modelling for a long time, and before I fell pregnant I was modelling for ASOS like every week, twice a week, and I absolutely loved it, but also wanted my little baby girl. And yeah, modelling will always have that little place in my heart. I don't know what I'm going to do yet with modelling. At the minute I am just being a mum and getting used to everything. I think the reason that I've always got in the back of my mind that I could do postgraduate dentistry or medicine is because my dad's actually a dentist, and so is one of my sisters, and it's our family business, so it's always like inspired me, and I've seen how well they've done from it. So I've always got that little thing in my head that's something I could, if I work hard, I could go into in the future if I wanted to. Before I get on to all things baby girl and birth, someone actually asked me about my favourite place to travel to, which I thought was a cute question. So I go to Marbella every single year because when I was 1 year old, my mum and dad bought a place there. So that's become our tradition every year to go, and I've literally grown up in Marbella. Like, I know it like the back of my hand, and we've got so many friends there, met so many people over the years. Just my favourite place to go every year, and I can't wait to go again this summer, obviously. Marbella is just my home away from home. But other than that, my favourite place to go on holiday is LA. I am obsessed with LA. Everything about it. It is just such a cool place. So I first went there when I went with my mum and dad. So I must have been maybe like year 9, I'd say. So how old are you in year 9? Like 13, 14? I think that must be my first time. And like, I just remember I was so excited. Do you remember that pink Paul Smith wall on Melrose? I used to see it all over Instagram, and I was like, I need to go there. That's what inspired that trip, I swear. And I remember going to the Warner Brothers studio because Pretty Little Liars is filmed there, and I used to be obsessed with Pretty Little Liars when I was in school, so we did the studio tour, and it was just the best trip. And then we went back in 2018 with my brother and sister as well, and again I loved it. We also went to San Fran on that trip, and it was the best trip. And then obviously I met Kurt, and I convinced him to go, but he'd always wanted to go. So we went in 2020, and we've been back every year since. I'm not even joking. We've been together now 3 times. So we went for his 21st in January 2020, and then we went in 2020 summer. No, it must have been 2021 because of COVID. I think it was 2022, summer. And that was the best holiday. It was so fun. We went for like 2 weeks, then we went to New York on the way home. We went to Disneyland, and then we went last summer for my baby moon. And I feel like we've been 4 times. Maybe it is 3. We went last summer for my baby moon, and it was just the best place to go on a baby moon. Like, we had the best time. We just went to Air One every day, got smoothies, did so much walking, which was really good for my pregnancy as well. We stayed in Beverly Hills Hotel, which is just the nicest hotel ever. It's my favourite in the world. Honestly, it's amazing, and everyone's so friendly. I love the breakfast there every morning. It's just the best, and the weather was gorgeous. Actually, no, I've just remembered. We've been 4 times together because we went one time with my family for my 21st. We went to Las Vegas as well. So yeah, we've been together to LA 4 times now. So we went to Las Vegas and we drove to LA from Las Vegas. It was so fun. Now is the time I'm going to talk about my pregnancy. So I'll talk about my pregnancy, and then I will talk about my birth. So obviously I got pregnant when I was 21, and then I turned 22 when I was pregnant. I've written down like points to say so I don't forget anything, because I really don't want to forget. And I've also written my whole birth story down. So overall, I had a really good pregnancy. I remember getting only nausea at the beginning of a morning when I'd wake up. I'd just feel a bit sick, but not where I'm going to be sick, just nausea. And then I'd have something carby. So I used to buy like packs of brioche rolls, It's so funny. And then I'd eat one of them and I'd be fine. I didn't get any bad sickness. I didn't really get any headaches, which I'm really surprised about because I used to always get headaches. So that was really, really good. The only thing I remember getting a really, really bad rash on my bump. And I had the itchiest skin. I literally used to get hives on my hands. I'm not even joking. Like I was thinking, am I allergic to something? It was so strange, like how pregnancy works in different ways. Somehow my phone is recording what I'm saying on notes and it's typing it out. I don't know what I pressed. Let me sort that out. Oh no. So I've got psoriasis. Like it's actually really bad at the minute. I've got it in my scalp. I've always had it since school and it just flares up. But when I was pregnant, I didn't really get it bad, but I had eczema. So obviously the itchiness, I'm guessing that was eczema. Or hormones. I remember I used to read stuff and it's saying, oh, something can be wrong with your liver, and I'd always be panicking. But one thing you don't do is Google. I had this really bad rash on my stomach, on my bump, which lasted about a couple of weeks. And I nearly went to the doctors about it because I was like, this is really strange. But then it just randomly disappeared. And I remember changing my body wash to like an eczema one, just to rule everything out, and then it just disappeared. Other thing was I got acne when I was pregnant, like really bad. I remember being in Dubai last year and it was so hot and I was like, I still need to put makeup on. I can't go out without makeup on because it's that bad. It was so red and sore. So I had to go to the doctors about that because obviously like I didn't really want to film like makeup videos. Like it was affecting my wear. I just didn't feel confident and it put me down a lot and I didn't want to go out without makeup on, which is such a bad habit because everyone's beautiful without makeup. So they actually gave me an antibiotic for my skin, which I was really reluctant to take anything, obviously, because I was pregnant, but they assured me this is completely fine to take when you're pregnant. It's quite a common one that people take. So obviously I looked into that before I did, and then I took a course of that and my skin just went so much better from that. So I don't know if it was hormonal, but it must have been hormonal or like bacterial. It was really strange, but it's got a lot better now. I've just got quite a lot of marks, I'd say. They're not bad, but I can see them under my makeup. So I do want to get something done about that. I do love that current body mask. I do use that and I do think it's helped. But yeah, because my skin was so nice pre-pregnancy, it was just a bit of a shock to suddenly get acne. But it's definitely, I feel like my hormones are regulating now. I also had low iron, which is very common obviously when you're pregnant. So I was on iron tablets for quite a lot of my pregnancy as well. I also drank raspberry leaf tea the last few weeks. And I do think that helped my birth, I've got to say, because my actual birth was very, very fast and good. So I'll tell you all about that in a minute. And I also had folic acid up until, was it 12 weeks? And then I had vitamin C like every day for my whole pregnancy just to make sure I was all good. And I actually didn't get ill when I was pregnant, so I think the vitamin C worked. I wasn't on a strict diet or anything when I was pregnant. I just ate whatever I wanted. I didn't restrict myself. Obviously I didn't eat what I wasn't allowed, like raw fish, etc. But I just ate what I wanted and I do not regret that at all. I think it was the best decision I made. It grew my baby and she's happy and healthy. So I remember just being out for dinner all the time and I could never get full. I would get dessert and I feel like everyone must have been thinking, gosh, this girl can eat. But I was constantly eating. My appetite was so high. As soon as I gave birth, I think it's to do with the hormonal drop, my appetite completely disappeared. I wasn't hungry for about 2 days. So how did I find out I was pregnant? So we actually planned it. Obviously we wanted to have a baby. We were so excited and we thought the time was right. I remember I missed my period and I kept doing tests because I had the Flow app and I was trying to track it and stuff and nothing was being positive. I remember we actually went out with Kate's team and I had jeans on and I thought they felt really tight, like I was bloated. I just remember feeling really restricted in these jeans and I had cramps, like period cramps though. So I was thinking, oh, my period must be coming. But I remember we got home at like midnight and I was like, I had tests left. I was like, go on, I'll just do another one. Like I was literally doing 2 a day at this point. I was that obsessed with doing tests. I feel like you do get like that though. So I remember doing a test at about around midnight, honestly, and it wasn't even a cute way how I told Kate. Like we were literally in the bathroom, I did a test and there was like the faintest line and I was like, oh my gosh. And I was like, Kate, honestly, if there's any line then it's positive. And he was like, really? And I remember I couldn't sleep that night and then I was like, okay, I need to wait, do another in the morning to make sure. So I remember doing another one in the morning and it was the stronger line. And I remember I called my mum straight away that day. I couldn't hold it in to go and see her and tell her. Like, I had to tell someone and we were so happy. And then I like told everyone else in like a cute way. I had a box, I put the test in and I was like, oh, I've got you a present. And then they opened it and they were like, oh, pregnancy test, you're pregnant. And it was so cute. I did that to all my family. So yeah, it was really special. And I loved that moment when I told everyone, especially my little niece. I'm sure she started crying. So my birth, I actually did a hypnobirthing course during my pregnancy with my midwife, which honestly I do think really helped. I loved it and I thought it was so educational. Like, no one really tells you about birth and like the science of it and the hormones, and I just thought it was so good. I'm so glad I did that because I really understood what my body was going to go through. I think that's what helped me. So we actually had the baby in London due to privacy reasons and also because I wanted to make sure that Kurt wouldn't miss the birth with his job, with games. So I chose to get induced at 39 weeks on a certain day. So we worked it all out, we had it planned, and I was just thinking, realistically, this isn't going to happen. I'm going to go into labour before that. I just know it's not going to happen like that easy. But I remember I went down to London a few days before my induction and everything actually went really smoothly, and I went in on the exact day I had planned, the exact time, and Kurt left the England camp and came to meet me at the hospital. I am going to tell you all about my birth. I'm going to tell you the positives, the negatives. I don't want to scare anyone, put people off, but this is just my birth story and how it went for me and the reality of it. It's ups and it's downs. So the 12th of October, I went to get induced in the hospital in London. First of all, they checked my cervix around 6:30 and they were really surprised because it actually looked soft. So I was really glad about that because that was like a good head start to the induction. If it wasn't soft and ready, I just knew it probably would have been longer and a harder experience. So I got induced with the gel at 7 p.m. after they checked my cervix, and they said that they would come themselves and break my waters at about 7 a.m, 12 hours later, if nothing had happened. To be honest, I was sort of hoping and praying that something would happen because I was like, I don't want to wait that long and be in pain all night. And luckily, I remember getting up to go to the bathroom. So I tried to go to sleep, so we got a few hours sleep. I remember waking up at 3 a.m. and my waters broke. And I called the midwife and she was like, it's definitely your waters. The contractions, thick and fast, just started coming. And it's actually crazy once you have a baby to describe that pain because you forget how to describe it. Thanks to my hypnobirthing, I had the lights dimmed, I had relaxing music on. I was breathing through it, the breathing technique that I learnt. I was breathing through it. I had gas and air. I used 2 full tanks of gas and air. I remember actually having my first puff of gas and air and I remember just bursting out laughing. And I remember Kate and my mum were like, oh my gosh. Actual birth was a very good experience. I'm saying this now because I'm not feeling that pain that I felt, but in the moment, obviously it was really painful. So I breathed with the gas and air probably for about 3 hours from 3 a.m, I'm guessing. You don't have any concept of time when you're in that pain at all. Then the pain was getting so bad that the gas and air just wasn't working. I feel like you get immune to it. Like, it didn't help at all. I just felt like I was having no pain relief. So I was like, please can I get an epidural? And I was always planning on probably getting an epidural, but I just wanted to see how far I could go until I would need one. Because obviously you don't know what the pain's like until you're in the situation. So I asked for the epidural and they gave me the epidural. Also, I actually think the worst part was getting the epidural, not the needle, not the pain from it, but the way you had to have a contraction while being bent over in that position to give the epidural. Then as soon as the contraction finished, they try and give you the epidural before the next contraction. And the way that you just had to try and not move during the contraction, it was horrendous. So I had the epidural and then they literally realised just after I was already 8 centimetres dilated. So I was ready to give birth pretty much. So I'd gone that whole way on gas and air. Don't ask me how. I'm so proud of it. Honestly, I will never shut up about it. And also the fact that I got induced, like, I hear so many horror stories, but I feel like my body must have just been ready and baby girl wanted to come out. So I am very lucky and grateful for that. But next minute, I just remember it was time to push and I gave birth at 7:52 a.m, I think, on Sunday the 13th. And it was just the best best thing in the world. She was £7 too, and that first cry when they put her on your chest, it literally makes me emotional. But it was the most amazing feeling in the world. So this is when it gets interesting, because 2 hours went by. We were all so happy in our little bubble. My mum had just left the hospital to give us some time on our own, and we just enjoyed it. We were feeding the baby, we were getting tips off the midwives, how to wind. They literally have like that much milk, don't they? When the first bunk of the stomach's literally that small. It's the cutest thing, and now she's on like that much milk. But yeah, everything was going smoothly. I remember lying in the bed and I remember saying to Kate, is it normal to bleed already? Like, I feel like you don't really get told what's normal and what's not. So I was bleeding, like full pads probably in the bed. And I remember the midwife thought looked okay. And then I remember she changed the pad and the other one wasn't as bad, so we thought it was all good. And I was like, okay, I'll get up, get showered and get moving around, and then we can leave the birthing room and go to another room where we can get visitors. So I got up to get a shower, and I remember I felt really dizzy and I just started hemorrhaging. So there was a lot of blood everywhere. It was very intense. And I have fainted before, and it's the most horrendous feeling. So I just thought, I'm going to faint. Like, I know it. I felt so dizzy and obviously losing a lot of blood. It wasn't looking good. I was in the shower at this point and I had to call Kate, and I was like, oh my gosh, this isn't normal. So we got the midwife and they were like, no, this isn't normal. But obviously, as I said, I really don't know what is and what isn't normal with bleeding after birth. You don't really get told. So the doctors came in. And the midwife that was on duty, and they realised that my uterus wasn't contracting properly, which is what happens after birth. So first what the doctors did is they came into the room and they manually had to remove clots, which was not a nice thing. And obviously Kate had to witness all of this with the baby in his arms. So it wasn't very nice. Definitely not. I'm not sure if I was still a bit numb from the epidural to feel the pain of them doing that. I did think it would be more painful, so I'm thinking maybe I was a bit numb still. I just remember seeing a lot of blood and freaking out a lot. But my bleeding didn't stop after that, so they had to tell me that they were going to have to take me into theatre as an emergency. So I had to sign a form which basically said if they need to, they're going to give me a blood transfusion. I had to basically just sign the dotted line. It was really scary, and my mum wasn't there anymore because she'd just left because everything was fine. So I was on my own with Kate and the baby at this point, and I just wanted to be with my little girl in our little baby bubble. It was the worst thing that could happen because everything went so well, and for it to then go bad was the biggest shock, I think. I just didn't realise that could even happen after birth like that, really. I thought once you give birth and everything's fine, then it's fine, do you know what I mean? So Kate obviously rang my mum, and my family came back to the hospital while I was in surgery. So I had to leave Kate with the baby on his own, so obviously his head was probably everywhere. The whole time I just remember thinking, oh my gosh, like the what ifs, like it was a scary time, and I think Kate was thinking the same as well, because a lot of things could go wrong, and if the bleeding wouldn't stop, then a lot could go wrong. So I was actually in the theatre. Obviously I had no concept of time at this point because I was literally, they gave me a spinal block on the bed and I was on my back with the shakes. So I just had to stop a sec because it said my memory card was full, so I just had to sort that out. But where was I? So they had to pack me and put like a balloon in with water to hold the uterus and help stop bleeding, and they also had to give me clotting agents. So the reason that this happened, they found out, was that not all the placenta had come out. So when you give birth to the baby and then the placenta then comes out. So there was probably, I think they said literally that much placenta still inside, which caused all that problem. So they were like scanning me in theatre to see where the placenta was, and they removed that. And then I had to have a catheter in for the night. If you've had a catheter, then you know they're not the nicest of things. And then I had constant cannulas in my hands. I had to have iron transfusion after the theatre, antibiotics to prevent infection, lots of things. I was covered in bruises from injections, basically. I've still got like little marks on my wrist from the cannula. and then like one of the cannulas tissued, so they had to keep swapping it. It was just a lot was going wrong and I was very tired. Obviously, I literally didn't sleep for a few days, I remember, at all, because obviously we got home, I was in really bad pain, and then obviously you've got a newborn baby who needs feeding, that's how it is. So I was very tired and it just felt like a dream that week. Very overwhelming when you get home, and then obviously when you're also in pain and stuff, it is a crazy feeling. But I was on a lot of painkillers and stuff and they really helped, and the pain did not last as long as I thought it would. So I was very lucky with the care I got. They were amazing. All the doctors, all the nurses, the midwives, they were honestly amazing. And I'm so grateful that I was in that place that I was for that to happen, because it could have gone differently. I've got to say, that balloon that I had, they drained that at like midnight. That's when I had the catheter put in. I just remember that night, it was so difficult to sleep, like sat on that. And then I remember Kurt was waking up for the baby constantly, and obviously when it's your first baby, you're just constantly checking the baby all night. And I just remember we literally didn't sleep at all. It was a rough night. But also I forgot to mention that after I came out of the theatre, I think it was from all the medicine, I had really bad nausea. I thought I was going to faint in the theatre lying down, but I remember when I came out of theatre, I actually threw up with all the nausea and the medication. So I just remember I was so pale, and I just looked, everyone was like, you look really ill, and I had the shakes for like 2 hours after it, like constant shaking, and it literally made me feel that sick. It went from the best experience to a bad experience. That's why I'm sharing my story, because if it's happened to anyone else, you can relate. But I actually had the rest of my placenta collected for tablets, which is quite funny because my placenta caused all that problem, but then it's also going to help me. So I had placenta pills made and I took them, and I do think that really helped with a lot after birth, like feeling good. It made me feel better, definitely, and I didn't really get much hair loss or anything, but it has started coming out a little bit, I'd say, now. But I don't take the pills anymore. Maybe I should have took them for longer. But I'm just so lucky that I also had Care, because he was amazing. He did all the nappies. Obviously it's his first time as well, he's got no clue. Not obviously, he probably didn't mentally prepare that this would happen. So he did all the nappies, he did all the feeds. He asked the midwife to teach him how to swaddle her, how to wind her. It was so good. I'm so lucky and grateful that I had him, and he really supported me. And I feel like that's why they have such a good bond now, because he was like the first person to hold her, the first person to do all her feeds, and he's just such a good dad. I'm so lucky, and our baby girl's so lucky because he adores her. And then the last question that I'm going to answer is, why did we call her Giselle Delilah Jones? So obviously Giselle's my middle name, which no one probably knows. It's also Beyonce's middle name, which I love. I used to love that as a kid. Like, I'd be like, I've got the same middle name as Beyonce. I just think it's such a pretty name. Like, I've always loved it since I knew it was my middle name. And there's a ballet called Giselle, there's a supermodel called Giselle. Like, it's just such a pretty name. It's French. I've always loved Gigi as a nickname. So I thought, perfect, I can call her both. And then Delilah is just a really pretty name that I absolutely love. I just think it's so, so gorgeous. And it goes so nice with Giselle Delilah Jones. If I do say so myself, I love her name. That is everything from me. I hope you enjoyed this Q&A and got to know me a bit more. I haven't spoke about my birth at all. I just didn't know where to share it. I wasn't ready to share it, maybe. But I feel like YouTube's a perfect place to tell my birth story. So I hope you all enjoyed. And yeah, I'm loving being a mum. Everything's going really well.